Trump is destroying the American economy. New data is showing that for the first time since 2021, there are more people unemployed and looking for jobs than there are job openings. These numbers expose the truth that Donald Trump's policies are crippling the middle class, and that's why he wants to fire all of the people responsible for releasing these numbers and replace them with loyalists who will release fake ones. Check this out.
But this JOLTS report essentially revealed that there are fewer jobs available than those that are looking for those jobs. So in the month of July, it reveals that there are 7.18 million jobs open, and there are 7.2 million people who are unemployed looking for jobs.
Additionally, a new jobs report just came out for August saying that the U.S. only added 5,400 jobs, making another month of below expectation job growth. All of this is, of course, directly tied to Donald Trump's tariffs. This is why Trump is fighting so hard to fire all of the numbers people in our government, because numbers don't lie. They are exposing the truth about his failed economy and policies, and he can't hide from it. Wages are stagnant, nobody can get a job, and the numbers keep falling short of expectations. Trump promised to bring back manufacturing and protect American workers, but his tariffs have done the exact opposite. In fact, here's a look at the manufacturing jobs under Donald Trump. As you can tell, yeah, the tariffs aren't really working. But Trump cares more about his own ego or being right than he does helping the American people, because he would rather hide from the truth than fix his mistakes.
Are we cooked? We're cooked, aren't we? The jobs report came out and it's really bad. The economy only gained 22,000 jobs in August when it was expected to gain at least 70,000, and it lost 13,000 jobs, which is the first negative month in the jobs report since December 2020. Guys, this is not good. Moody's has already said the United States has entered a recession. Alarm bells are going off. Trump's economy is tanking. Unemployment is up to 4.3% from 4.2%. Yeah, we're cooked. I mean, this really shouldn't surprise anyone. I mean, we're seeing the effects of this throughout every sector of the economy. People are having a very, very difficult time getting a job. That's just the reality we're in. Businesses are getting hammered by the tariffs, especially small businesses who relied on the de minimis exemption that Trump has gotten rid of. What was it, over 70%, 73% of voters in exit polling said they voted for Trump because he was the best for the economy? They thought that he would bring costs down. He hasn't done any of that. None of it. Wake up, everyone. Wake up. He doesn't care about you. He just cares about himself and his rich billionaire buddies and keeping the Epstein files hidden. That's it. That's all he cares about. Everyone better wake up and get wise to this. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know how you've been impacted. Like, share, follow, spread the word, subscribe, and I'll see you back here for the 411.
I'm going to show you that Donald Trump is driving the economy straight off a cliff with his stupid tariffs and everything else. What you see here is that the jobs report just came in, and it shows that in June, negative 13,000 jobs were added, meaning it is the first month since December 2020 where the job growth was actually negative. I mean, this is horrific, and we're heading towards what's known as stagflation, where you have prices go up, but income and employment go down. It is the worst of both situations because you can only manage one at a time with interest rates. So thanks, Donald Trump. It's only going to get worse and worse.
Let's talk about the jobs report that came out today. The August report was a disappointment. That's not according to me. That's according to Donald Trump's own economic advisors. This report showed just 22,000 jobs added to the economy in the month of August. That is far less than what economists expected. All of those red flags for this economy. But one thing I want to highlight for you is what's happening to certain sectors of the economy, certain pockets of workers in the United States. Black workers, Hispanic workers in particular, are seeing job losses. The Black unemployment rate, for example, since August 2024 has gone from 6.1% to 7.5%. That is more than a full percentage point increase for Black workers. Is this a canary in the coal mine? Well, some people think so. It's often said that Black workers, perhaps Black women in particular, are the last in, the first out, and sometimes a key indicator of an economic downturn to come. And some of it can be attributed perhaps to federal government job losses. The federal government shed about 100,000 jobs since the beginning of this year. You've seen all the talk of the Doge cuts, but that's not the entire picture. There's more going on in this economy. The other thing I want to highlight for you is what's going on in a couple of industries that Donald Trump has said he wants to bring back. Manufacturing. Manufacturing lost jobs in the month of August. We are talking about a loss of 12,000 jobs. We're not yet seeing any impact, it seems, of Trump's economy, or perhaps we are. The uncertainty that his tariffs have placed into the economy may be having an effect. There's a lot of debate about whether this is just a short-term trend or whether Trump's policies just need more time. But in the meantime, there are a lot of workers who are losing jobs, finding it hard to get new ones in this Donald Trump economy. We'll see you at 10.
Hey, MAGA, what about those jobs numbers? Only 70-something thousand jobs added. In this economy, I remember when Joe Biden was adding over 200,000 jobs a month. God, do I miss President Biden. Inflation is tearing this country apart, but thanks to the tariffs, we're all feeling it right now, especially at the grocery store. How do you feel knowing that you own the libs? We're owning the libs. Donald Trump has not done jack shit for the middle class in this country. The people that are happy, the people that are satisfied and content and jubilant right now are the top 1% who are getting a big old tax cut. Woo! These are the most embarrassing job numbers that I've seen in quite some time. And it's just going to get worse. The cost of things are just going to go through the roof. I think between 20 and $30 billion was lost between GM and Ford. Winning America first. Let's just go gut all the factory workers. Hey, are we feeling great yet? Yeah. How about those grocery prices? Unbelievable. You know, racism and bigotry and owning the libs is expensive, isn't it? Maybe you should have voted for Kamala Harris.
The United States has lost over 800,000 jobs this year so far under the Trump administration, and that is the most jobs lost from January to July since 2020. And remember who was president back then? Donald Trump. Donald Trump is so mad about the jobs report that he's now claiming that it was rigged. Everything that he doesn't like is rigged. And by the way, the job report was not rigged. We thought we'd gain over 100,000 jobs this July. We didn't. It was closer to 70,000. The economy is slowing. People are losing work. Manufacturing jobs are laying off people because of tariffs, and things could get worse. Tariffs are about to increase for so many different countries. The list goes on and on. And by the way, Donald Trump is threatening tariffs with countries just in the middle of the night, it seems. This is absolutely insanity. I know there's one job I'd like to see lost, though. I'd like to see Donald Trump removed from office. He is a liability to the well-being of our nation. He is an economy killer. This dude destroyed our economy in 2020, and he's doing it again.
So I'm going to hold your hand when we talk about this today. The U.S. is cooked, and it's not a matter of if it's cooked. It's a matter of how cooked it is and what your exit plan is going to be. So either you are going to stay in the stew, or you're going to make a plan to move to another country. And for those of you that are listening to this and you think, oh, that sounds very drastic. What is she talking about? That's crazy. So my name is Jamelia. I've lived abroad for 15 years. I just came back from Atlanta 3 days ago, and it's cooked, it's done, it's a wrap. So if I were you, if I had to start all over again, and if I start out in 2025 doing this, then I would decide that I'm going to move abroad and I'm going to start a business. And it wouldn't matter how much learning I needed to do, but I would do it.
So it's really bad when business leaders and investors are silently screaming that this administration is tanking this entire country. Okay, I had to take a lot of notes here. Do you guys know who billionaire Ray Dalio is? He's the founder of the world's largest hedge fund, and he actually took a big risk to speak out against this administration, their ineptness, and where this country is headed. And he did not use gentle words to describe the fears he has. He gave a stark warning about the state of this country's discourse and the direction of the economy tanking. He said investors and business leaders are afraid to say what a horrible job the Trump administration is doing for fear of retaliation. He calls what he's seeing as a dangerous suppression of economic debate. His statement carries significant weight with foreign governments, central banks, and multiple industries. So it's not like nobody's noticing what he's saying. He calls what's happening an impending debt-induced heart attack that could strike swiftly and severely within the next 3 years, gutting the American economy. He said under Trump, the national debt has climbed to $37 trillion, and investment payments on this debt will consume a large share of the federal budget, meaning our tax dollars are not coming back to us. He said, many in the business world are deeply concerned with the Trump administration's approach to removing the Federal Reserve's independence, and that would pose a very serious danger to the global economy. He cited this administration's autocratic moves by having the government acquire significant stake in the chip maker, Intel. Very true. Calling it evidence that we are moving towards an authoritarianism that existed in the world, around the world, in the 1930s and 1940s. But he circled back to how deadly the silence is by business leaders who are afraid that the orange man will retaliate. He said we're at an economic crisis point where all business leaders need to be screaming what it is they really are seeing and feeling. Now, to be fair, he's the most famous, largest, most powerful one, being the most vocal. But Citadel's billionaire founder, Ken Griffin, has been calling out the administration. For instance, he stated, "Shame on you," to the administration for attacking Walmart just because Walmart expressed concerns about the tariffs. And then BlackRock CEO Larry Fink stated publicly that most CEOs he's met with privately believe the United States has been pulled into a recession under the Trump administration, and they won't state it publicly for fear of political backlash and market repercussions, because this administration is controlling the markets to make Trump and his buddies even more money. And all Trump has to do is post something on Truth Social to affect somebody's stocks, company's stocks, or just have Pam Bondi or somebody file a lawsuit against that company, and it causes the market, that stock, to move around. But I can't believe that these billionaires don't have the balls to say what they're really seeing and really thinking. How pathetic. And people like us who are just barely trying to get by have more balls than them collectively, a millionfold. Anyway, America's getting great.
When you fire people, of course unemployment rises. When you make people scared to work here by sending your goons to job sites, of course unemployment rises. When you deport massive amounts of people, of course unemployment rises. And when you put tariffs on the economy that just raise prices on everybody, of course unemployment rises. Like, this is what everyone said before even Trump got into office, not because they hate Trump, but because it's obvious. When you hurt the economy gets hurt. But Trump's unwilling to accept this fact. And when he saw that, we had fewer jobs than we thought we would have, well, he wasn't willing to accept that fact. He'd rather have alternative facts. So he fired the head of the BLS. This is bad. This isn't normal, nothing that really matters, but we can't have a president who looks at the consequences of his actions, and rather than admitting they were bad and that he should change course, will just fire the person in charge of telling him the truth. Trump has bad economic policy.
Okay, look, nearly 2 million Americans are on unemployment right now, and that's the highest it's been since the pandemic in 2021. But why is this happening now? Let me break it down to 2025. One reason I found is that jobs aren't lasting. Now, a lot of people are actually finding work, but the jobs don't stick. So, layoffs and short contracts mean people are back to filing claims. 2, high cost of living. Even if you get a job, if it doesn't pay enough to survive, people leave that job and they end right back up in the unemployment line again. 3, shifting industries. Tech, retail, and even delivery services. They're downsizing, they're becoming automated, leaving people without long-term security. And they're in that unemployment line as well. 4, delayed hiring. I guess these jobs are being what they like to call cautious. And instead of hiring people where they need them, they're stretching the workforce that they already have. 5, more people relying on benefits. The fact that there is still 2 million people collecting checks, that shows how hard it is to find a job out here. It's taking longer to find those jobs too. So is this just the economy balancing out, or is it a sign of something bigger going on?
America is collapsing before our very eyes. Restaurants are closing their doors for good in my city at a record pace. They're blaming it on a slow season, but I think it's something else. You can't tell me the amount of abandoned strip malls that I drive by on a daily basis is normal. I know you've seen it too. All these places just get replaced with the capybara cafe de jour or a flower store to placate the masses, if you know what I mean. There used to be 24-hour diners, family-owned restaurants, even bookstores, I don't know, third spaces. Now, nothing. Luxury apartments that sit vacant forever. Grocery stores that have been closed for 10 years. So much wasted space in empty parking lots until some TikTok trend comes, opens for 6 months, and then that closes too. I know I'm not alone in this, but yet every single time I bring it up, I get all the bots in my comments telling me the economy's never been better. But I ask for who? Like 100 people at the top? So the billionaires are doing great. I don't care. People like you and me, we're struggling out here. All my friends live in vans. And if we are lucky enough to have apartments or houses, we're living behind locked doors and closed blinds because there's no community here anymore. Restaurants are just the beginning. They're the canary in the coal mine. Once they're gone, so are all of our meeting places, our birthday parties, our community, and third spaces. They're not just a place to buy food. They're a pulse of the neighborhood. And also, as a live singer, something hugely important to my job. I used to sing 5 nights a week. Now I'm lucky if I can find a Sunday night gig. So I'm just here to say, if this is what a booming economy sounds like, it must be the sound of doors slamming shut. And I don't know about you, but I'm making my exit plan. We're moving to Portugal soon, where they still have cafes and restaurants that people actually go to. If you find that interesting, stick around. Because I can tell you this is not normal. And don't let internet comments gaslight you into thinking it is.
Very bad for Donald Trump. CNN news media analyst chief said most of America sees Donald Trump economy as weak. Well, what the hell you think was going to happen? 22,000 jobs in August? People ain't making no money and everything going up. Tariffs are crushing us. Even MAGAs and Republicans and Democrats say this economy is weak. One of the weakest economies in the last 20 years. They going back to the COVID time, which was under Trump as well. But what did you expect from a man who don't care about you, who don't like you, or who does not care about anything about you? This don't make no sense. I'm telling you exactly what happened. So y'all ought to be ready. Don't be mad. Don't be sad. This is what happens when you put Donald Trump in charge of everything. The economy is at a standstill. The interest rates are terrible. And Donald Trump loves it because a whole lot of people making money, not named you or I. Get ready for what's happening. Get ready for the revolution. It won't stop. It will get worse before it gets better.
I don't know if you guys have seen the videos of the farmers in Arkansas or South Dakota literally saying we're praying for help from the government, from the administration, from President Trump, because we cannot keep up with these prices as a result of tariffs. We're not able to do what we need to do. We're really struggling here. But we're in harvest season. I don't think any industry is going to suffer more under Trump than American farming. First of all, big one, ICE raids mean that American farms are having huge trouble with getting staff. Even if those workers have paperwork to back up their existence, even if those workers have the necessary documents, they will still get arrested because they're not white.
It's a standard being set by ICE under Trump, and until the whole organization is abolished, no one is going to feel safe in those industries. Secondly, Trump's tariffs have both wiped out the markets for farmers and made the prices unsustainable for them. So the MAGA vision for farmers under Trump is farmers with crops that they can't harvest because they haven't got enough workers. They can't really sell them because the prices aren't worth it, and they can't really sell it to anyone because all the markets have shut off. There will likely be a winter of discontent for American farming. And it's in rural communities. You know, cities and urban spaces, they have natural economic inertia that will keep them going for a little bit if the economy gets bad. Rural communities are always the communities that suffer the most. In agriculture, you are hoping that the produce you come out with has a market value that's going to make ends meet. Trump has sabotaged all of those connections and doesn't seem to have any interest in fixing them. So it's very likely that over the next 3 to 6 months, you will see lots and lots of farmers going bankrupt, lots and lots of farms being sold, lots and lots of the farming industry just shrinking, disappearing, gasping for breath, probably resulting in even higher prices for Americans. And Trump is still on the Epstein list. Follow for more.
Well, pretty much all 50 states are starting to see job cuts and slow down in the economy and money spent because of Donald Trump's cuts. They also are starting to see prices rise in their states. Why? Because Donald Trump made these massive budget cuts, signed the big, beautiful bill, and the tariffs. Doesn't matter if it's a blue state or red state. Every state is starting to hurt. They're paying more and they're losing jobs. They're losing people and they're losing money. Why? Because Donald Trump signed all these executive orders and the economy is in a recession. What do you think was going to happen? Donald Trump told you exactly what he was going to do. And now red states, blue states, purple states are saying, hold on, we can't have this. We're losing jobs. Our economy's going down. We're not getting federal funding. We're not getting any help. They're realizing Donald Trump isn't for them. And all these federal budget cuts, all these tariffs are ruining these states, costing them millions and some billions of dollars, and they can't handle what Donald Trump is doing.
There's a major outcry going on in the US farming industry right now because so many farms are struggling. And I've seen videos this afternoon from Arkansas, for example, where farmers have got together and they're asking Trump for social assistance. They're saying, hey, help us out. But this is the policies that they voted for. They voted for mass deportations. And now it's going south on them big time. So what do these guys expect? You know? And now they're asking for money because their farms are going out of business. They said their markets have been taken away from them. They said they don't have enough labor to pick the crops. And as a result of that, their farms are dying. And so is the livelihood. But these are guys, especially in Arkansas, who voted overwhelmingly for Donald Trump and his policies. And now they're asking for handouts. Sorry, folks. No sympathy from me. Let me know what you think about this in the comments.